Noong April 2019, ang Diabetes Care and American Diabetes Association ay naglabas po ng consensus report kung ano yung iba't ibang diet na pwedeng gamitin as nutrition therapy o pagalingin ang isang taong may diabetes or pre-diabetes. Meron ko silang ginawang 9 types of dietary management para sa diabetes. Isa-isahin natin ito and I will explain kung bakit nag-agree ako dito o hindi. Number 1 would be the USDA Dietary Guidelines for Americans. So, of course, ito yung mataas sa prutas, vegetables, whole grains, whole fruits, and nililimit nila yung kanyang saturated fats. First, hindi tayo Amerikano. Tayo ay Pinoy. So, of course, what is good for them may not be so ideal for us. And also, I believe that saturated fats, as long as natural na saturated fats, hindi processed, they are okay. And salt also is not really the culprit of the problem, but it is really the refined sugars. Number 2 would be the Mediterranean style. So usually, this is a high-fat diet, high-fiber diet, but also accommodate carbohydrates such as pasta and other grains. Number 1, wala din po tayo sa Mediterranean region at tayo po ay Pinoy. That's why if we do Mediterranean diet, baka hindi ito sustainable. Okay? And also, the part where pasta and other carbohydrates can be eaten, medyo mahirap po siya kapag sasabihin nyo lang na take it in moderation. Mahirap po yan i-quantify. But of course, if you are knowledgeable enough to do portion controls, not more than a cup a day, so maybe that can do. But generally, for me, Mediterranean diet is not really made for Filipinos who are living in tropical countries. In addition, sa ating mga Pinoy, yung pasta natin, hindi tayo mahilig sa maasim or real tomato-based pasta. Yung atin dito, matatamis. Halos lahat nilalagyan ng sugar. So that's why it may not be applicable to us given na iba yung nakasanayan natin when it comes to these foods. And number 3, we have the vegetarian or vegan diet, which is also shows promising results. But of course, it may not be for everyone kasi hindi naman lahat sanay sa pagkain ng puro gulay lamang. And by evolution, we believe that eating animal meats, as long as tama po yung pagkaka-raise dito, organic, grass-fed, and properly produced, is a part of our proper human diet. Number 4 and number 5 would be the low-fat diet and very low-fat diet. It may be effective on the short term, but in the long term, it's not really sustainable because a very low-fat diet, but if paired with a very high carbohydrate diet, will not address the real problem because fat
does not really induce insulin spike.
It is the carbohydrates that spikes insulin and demands more insulin and eventually leading to insulin resistance, plus on top of course of lipotoxicity brought about by too much fats intake together with too much carbohydrate intake. So, number 6 and 7 are my favorite, which is the low carbohydrate diet and the very low carbohydrate diet. I believe this is more sustainable specifically because this is also very flexible. With low carb, hindi kailangan very high fat. Actually, we also monitor our fat intake. Hindi kami nagsasabi na kapag naglo-low carb ka, ay mag-only fats ka na. Patients are advised to go on a nutrient-dense low carb, wherein kapag kumain ng carbohydrates, eto yung mababa sa calorie na carbohydrates, tulad ng green leafy vegetables, lahat ng talbos ng kung ano-ano. Also, low-carb produce such as eggplant, ampalaya, sayote, even singkamas, and also peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, and many more. And when it comes to proteins naman, a good source of proteins will be the ones that are highly bioavailable. Yung mas madaling na-absorb ng ating tiyan because we have a very long small intestine. So, we are built to digest meat. So, any meat from pork, chicken, fish, or seafoods or beef, any animal meat products is okay when taken at the right amount. And of course, for the fats naman, hindi talaga ito unlimited. But you have to focus on the healthier fats, which would include omega-3 rich fats such as fish oil, nuts, seeds, and also avocado, olives, and coconut oil. Other saturated fats can be taken from pork or lard and tallow and put it into consideration on your overall health goal. And that sums up why we believe that low-carb nutrition and very low-carb nutrition can be the best option when it comes to diabetes, hindi lang para weight loss, but also to optimize health and most importantly, increase the insulin sensitivity again. So moving forward, the next diet would be the DASH diet or the dietary approach to stopping hypertension. We believe that it's not just about the salt, but it is about the inflammation. That's why DASH diet may be too restrictive when it comes to electrolyte needs of the body and somewhat hindi siya nag-a-address, similar to the USDA dietary guidelines. And the idea na you can take anything in moderation, medyo mahirap po yan, especially for people who already are too dependent on foods such as carbohydrates, and we tend to eat too much of everything. And lastly, the Paleo Diet, which also agrees with low carb when it comes to evolutionary history ng humans as the basis. It's just that with Paleo Diet, kailangan talaga we stick to the original foods that we eat before, during the ancient period. And we understand that might not be so applicable, especially na ang availability is very important when it comes to sustainability. But when it comes to components, Paleo Diet is mostly under low carb pa din. It's just that low carb also accommodates modern day foods as long as alam mo which ones to eat and which ones not to eat. So, yun po ang basis why among these 9 dietary management, yung low carb and very low carb is the one that we promote best because we believe that it is easier, more sustainable, and of course addressing the root cause of diabetes, which is insulin resistance from too much insulin spike. That and more in our coming videos, so remember to always stay low carb so that we will all stay safe.